You are listening to the Mary Jane Society podcast, where you will meet entrepreneurs, cultivators, scientists, doctors, and inventors in the cannabis industry.
I'm your host, Pam Schmiel, marketer and publicist for the cannabis industry. Today our guest is Jason Bello. He's the founder and CEO of a relatively new B2B cannabis trade show called the Flower Expo. He says his show is specifically for brands to meet buyers, and it's similar to how food and wine shows operate, where there's an emphasis on product sampling. Jason learned the trade show ropes by working at West Coast trade shows like Hall of Flowers and Green Street Festival. Jason launched the Flower Expo last year in Massachusetts and is back again next week on June 5th and 6th, where it'll take place in rural Greenfield, Massachusetts. The show is set in the foothills of the Berkshire Mountains with food trucks and lots of product sampling. It will then move on to Lansing, Michigan for its inaugural show in that state. Let's meet Jason Bello. So I guess let's just start with obviously, an overview of what the Flower Expo is and when you launched and how many shows you've had so far, just to give us a foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. I launched Flower Expo in last year in 2023. We have only had one event, which was the Massachusetts event. So this will be the second year of the Massachusetts show, as well as the first year of a Michigan event that we'll be doing on August 7th and 8th in Lansing. I come from an events background. I come from a cannabis events background. Specifically, I was really introduced to the industry of trade shows by my father, who was pretty instrumental in a show called Comdex in the late 80s and 90s, which ended up becoming the biggest computer trade show in the world before his group sold it. He worked in the hospitality hotel industry for close to 30 years before semi-retiring, and joined up with some people that he had met through the hotel industry, who also ran some trade shows, and got back to his roots to help launch Hall of Flowers in California in 2017. And they've held, semi-annual cannabis trade shows in California, Nevada, in Toronto, Canada. That's where I got my start in the industry. I started filing paperwork and sending invoices, and worked my way up to sales and finance in their organization before launching a consumer show called Green Street Festival, working at a cannabis company heading sales, and then I launched this show last year.
So what is the focus of the Flower Expo? The focus, is it completely B2B focus?
Absolutely. It's entirely B2B focused. Okay. And, I would just, I guess, preface my answer by saying that there's a lot of trade shows in our industry, and that's very good. That's a healthy sign. There should be a lot of trade shows, whether you're focusing on a specific niche like the scientific research, or catering to a specific demographic, or whatever you might have it, I guess. But what we do is a dealer's expo. So really it's designed for wholesale commerce to occur. So the entire point is that, the vast majority of our exhibitors are cannabis brands, producers, people who create product and they're trying to sell it on the legal market. And then the only attendees to our show are vetted out decision maker buyers. So people that we draw out to come. And then I guess coupled with, we have a consumption and sampling event. So kind of modeled after a wine trade show, something you would see where they get to try and sample the products, or a food and beverage show where they get to see everything, try it, and then sit there and place purchase orders.
Ah, okay. So
Right.
legally in the markets, you can give samples out, I guess, right? Yeah, like on site, people can serve their THC, let's say infused drinks if they wanted to, or gummy samples.
Yes, absolutely. I believe, what I do best is developing this specific type of show with sampling consumption, like you're saying, and drawing out those buyers to incentivize brands to come and sell to them. So yes, I wouldn't do a show if I wasn't able to do that.
It's so important, and I kind of feel like it's the way shows might be going, or actually kind of almost morphing into B2B consumption networking events. So I haven't ever been to, I've been to a food show before, a trade show, but I've never been to a wine food show. I didn't know that was part of something that they do at these shows. So you're saying you've put a more of an emphasis on your vendors to say, I want you out there giving samples and
Right.
pushing
Yeah,
that part.
absolutely. And that's what we do best. And also we bring out such a high percentage and number of cannabis brands. A lot of the other shows, even I guess you could say the behemoth that is MJ Biz in Las Vegas, is a much more horizontal show, not a vertical show. I guess I'm assuming right now, but I would assume that one of our shows, this Massachusetts event, will probably have more licensed cannabis brands than that go out to exhibit in MJ Biz. And that's because MJ Biz, like I said, it's a horizontal show. You're there to source your packaging and your nutrients and your lighting. So it's a different focus.
So typically when you're going to these trade shows, you're trying to reach these people that you can't see by getting in your car or sending your sales guys. And also a lot of the markets are, so immature, the supply chain is imbalanced of, you know, producers, extractors versus brands versus dispensary, retail shops. So do you see a problem with that, or do you feel like, I always wondered, is there an ROI for these brands really who are paying the money to travel to set up these booths, and how many people are they really pitching to, and are they really making more sales than sending their guys out on the road within their states? That's
Right.
that's
Well,
what I've
I
been wondering.
guess that is the exact solution that I believe my show offers to brands, and is definitely a value add to the dispensaries who attend our show. But, I worked at a company called Source Cannabis. I was the head of sales for a short period of time. I headed about seven sales representatives that drove throughout the state of California. We were selling into probably around 300 stores at our peak. But, a lot of, what you're saying is true. To send people around all across the state, pay for their mileage, pay for the samples that we're going and handing out and letting the buyers try, in-store demos, PADs, things like that, stuff to perk the bud tenders, as well as just the basic, well, if you're a sales representative, you're cold calling dispensaries and asking, hello, Mr. Buyer, can I take 15 minutes of your time to stop by your shop? So in a given day, you can only see maybe 4 or 5 stores if you set your calendar, jam packed. And then I'll just tell you from personal experience, on average, about 2 to 3 of those are cancellations. So I guess my point being, I developed the show exactly like you're saying. Tap into our dollar, we create an equal level platform for every dispensary in the state to come. They love us, the buyers, because we are providing them perks, incentives to come. There is no, we're not asking them for anything. So they're in a very good mood and they're all going to be there. And if you're a brand, this is your opportunity to come and meet every dispensary that you are trying to sell to in your local market. And, hopefully we can save you a lot of money and let you see more buyers in 2 days than you're going to see in the entire year.
You almost have more benefit talking and learning from the people around you and that you're meeting at these shows, just to move your business ahead and just your learning curve ahead. So there's a lot to be said for that. And but I feel like also incorporating this consumption and testing into the show makes it more fun, of course. But
Right. I think it's imperative with a consumable as well.
it's a what?
It's a consumable, it's a commodity. I think it's imperative to what we do. We're not digital technology. We're an old-fashioned commodity. We're an industry that was restrained by the handcuffs of legalization for a long time. So this is something that needs to be treated as such.
Yeah, and then I think I've seen an expo in Connecticut doing something where they're also combining consumers coming to the shows, kind of similar to what Cannabis does in Barcelona. I don't know if you've ever been,
I'm
but
familiar, but I haven't attended.
it's an odd combination, and I'm not quite sure if it works because you're combining a day of B2B, and then you have all these consumers coming through and hanging out and sampling and things like that. It's kind of a weird synergy in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, Hall of Flowers, their Santa Rosa event in September is planned to be one day of business, one day of consumer. I
Yeah.
I personally, you know, I would say God willing to all of them. I think it's a great thing, especially just for the normalization of cannabis to create highly professional and respected consumer cannabis events. I would just say that personally, for what we do at Flower Expo, number one, we have a proven track record with the first show. We deliver success for our clients. Also, I guess to answer like a question you asked before, it's, are these trade shows selling a pipe dream? Are you actually going to have the buyers there? We have an amazing record of that, and this year is going to top that. Last year, we did over 75% of registered stores at our event, and this year it's going to be even higher than that. I'm expecting 300 Massachusetts dispensaries to be attending, but I would just say in regards to consumer events, I don't know it. I don't know how to do that. I think that it takes a different level of marketing expertise, something I do not have the experience for. And I would just focus on, exactly what I know how to do. And that's curated business to business trade shows.
It might be an interesting concept down the road. These are really great ways for brands to get their, products noticed. I mean, I know it works for me as a consumer when I go to these events. It's a great way to market to me. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious, wondering if this is going to be the wave of the future for consumption.
I
Yeah.
definitely think so. I mean, just if you look at, I guess, parallel industry of, alcohol, there are bars everywhere, and the licensing process to simply sell alcohol at your establishment is very easy. You just apply for an inexpensive license, and they do a review, and then they put up a notice on the front of the establishment, and for a few weeks so the public knows, and you get to open it. Our industry is so strained by regulation, and it shouldn't be like that. And you're right, there should be plenty of people offering a cannabis lounge or temporary events. There aren't even the license that I have to attain for some of my states to host the trade show is a cannabis event organizer license, which is incredibly I guess I wouldn't say incredibly difficult, but incredibly time consuming to get. Like my lawyer and I spend more time on that than should be permitted, but and we still have to sit here and await different things from different states. And so I would just say we are very overregulated, and it's very sad. But change is on the horizon, like you're saying, and I think with everything we're going to watch the way this legalization rolls out, evolve everything. I mean, dispensaries might not be a long-term thing. It might turn into more delivery service, or you could see the pharmaceutical industry get into this, unfortunately or fortunately. I mean, there's going to be plenty of different avenues and ways. I think interstate commerce is one of the biggest things that's going to assist brands selling to different areas as well as, abroad. I guess we're watching that in Canada. They're sending it all to those European countries, and it's actually helped them from what I understand.
Yeah, I know change is on the horizon for sure. So are you incorporating like regional cultures into your show? Because since it is a, state siloed.
Yeah, well, we've got lobster rolls at the New England event, so
Okay, okay,
so
good.
we're leaning into that New England culture for sure. But and day two will be night one of the NBA finals, so it's looking like the Celtics will be in it. So maybe we'll have a screening. But no, I would say our shows, just like with anything, like I said, I'm a trade show event organizer. I create a
Right.
very equal level platform. So, we don't, obviously, I guess the biggest difference is, of course, it's going to be local brands and dispensaries there. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's definitely always outside companies and people coming in, ancillary services that want to come check out the market, or I'm sure there are, investors and different groups like that are coming to explore the market. But we do try to create an authentic event, very cookie cutter. I believe if we can create an equal offering everywhere we go, it's going to maintain the highest level of quality of our event. But same SOPs everywhere we go. We treat it exactly the same and try to be authentic and respect the companies that are there.
And why did you choose Massachusetts and Michigan for, I mean, your kind of launch really? I mean, you've launched in Massachusetts already, but to move forward.
Yeah, Massachusetts, I guess number one, it's a top 5 state in the United States for cannabis revenue. So that was one of the biggest things. It's very evolved in its market, very mature. It's had a medical market for a decade and recreational for many years now, but really mature, strong operators. I think I also, my dad grew up there, so I've spent a lot of time and was familiar with it. Have a lot of family there. Actually lived there for about a year to launch the event. But yeah, I think it was a great market to start in, and I'm happy to see the show this year, 2.5 times the size. And then Michigan, of course, just because it's such a mature market, about 900 dispensaries active, the second highest grossing sales state in the United States for cannabis revenue, behind California, of course.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you're, coming from California and, really knowing that market and worked in the other cannabis event spaces there, that you chose to come over to the East Coast. Were you thinking to bring, maybe also to just bring some of your knowledge and, from years of them kind of being ahead of us? Is that what you're thinking too?
Definitely, and I don't think ahead. I think just a different approach to it, because there's many respected events in Massachusetts that have been around. But I think definitely bringing a little bit of the knowledge and know-how that I've taken along the way has served it well. And I think Massachusetts has been incredibly responsive to our event. They loved the debut show, and I think everybody is very hyped up about this second year's event.
That's great. So after Michigan, what just like in the future, what are you thinking about? What other states do you want to conquer?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely launching those 2 states back, but I think I need to go lounge on a beach for about a week, and then we'll evaluate. But
Okay.
I guess I do like the regional approach that I'm taking, of the Northeast and Midwest. I think I would like to stay in regional markets.
And also, Missouri looks interesting as far as like what they're doing with their beverages there and selling in liquor stores and things like that. That seems like an interesting Midwest market also. So far, with all the different people that you're working with in the different markets, are there any industry insights on a micro level, I guess regional level, or just what you're hearing, since you're really starting to, work with a lot of business owners now in 2 different parts of the country? Like, what are their needs or their concerns outside of what we're hearing? Is there any like theme of anything you're hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say, the overall thing I've noticed, and obviously, I guess response from both markets that I'm working with, but California 2018 cannabis was, a way different environment and market overall. I think people were making a lot more money, and the economy was a lot better. Things were more affordable. People were able to pay their bills. I think just increasing prices overall that we're seeing in the country. I think people are really I guess strained, you could say. We're noticing a lot of like bad debt and AR from dispensaries paying their
Yeah.
clients. And I think obviously I think all these people are very well intentioned. I don't think that anybody's trying to act malicious. I just think that it's difficult times, and we work in an industry that though it's cyclical, I would say. Like I said, it's a commodity. So, this isn't something that's necessarily fully, integral to everybody's purchasing patterns. There's probably spending more money if they have more money on this, So I think that as the economy gets better, you're going to see, businesses healthily ran and people able to pay their bills on time. And the hope is that we shrink the illegal market, obviously, and create more growth for the legal market, and there's more consumer spending in our industry. And obviously, I think that comes with a number of things, not only just better economy, lesser regulations, but I guess the spread of licensing across the country. Still over half the nation doesn't have access to legal cannabis.
Right. Well, I know, I mean, kind of infamously last year, so many budgets got shut down and people consolidated and pulled in, and, basically, a lot of advertising money just got, deleted. And it's been very hard for, people who rely on advertising revenue. So as a business model, I mean, I assume trade shows make their money on advertising and sponsors. Is that how are you feeling people are coming back and sponsor using their marketing money to sponsor more, or how does that work? And
Well, yeah, we sell just pretty much exhibit space. Yes, you're right, a little bit of advertising and sponsoring, but yeah, I think I mean, listen, my business has grown in terms of the number of clients. I don't think the price point is as high as it has been in previous times, and I can say that probably all across the board for trade shows. Nobody's probably yielding as high of sponsorship prices as they did in, like I said, 2017 or 2018.
yeah, no.
But what I think, I guess my show has proven, at least to myself, is that I'm able to grow the amount of clients significantly, which is great because it means that my show is working and it's impactful and people actually are getting a successful ROI. And that's been the feedback that I've gotten from clients with speaking with them.
So what are your challenges? Well, actually, before I ask you that, kind of winding down, is are you also focusing on connecting investors with, either retail or brands, and do you have any sort of like education track to your show, or is this really you're just building this whole experience with retails and dispensaries meeting to make sales and experience products?
I have a speaker panel. We'll do 2 panels per day. And I do not connect investors with brands or anything like that. But yes, we do. The only bit of education we do is those speaker series.
Okay, so really the emphasis of your show seems to be on the experience of experiencing the brands and meeting the brands and making sales. You're
Right,
really
brands meet buyers. That's the whole motto of the show and the thing we do best. And I don't claim to be smart enough to do anything beyond that, frankly.
okay. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, creating an experience, a great experience for that purpose is great. I love it. I
Yeah,
love the experiencing the products because the people who are going there are passionate about products,
right.
knowledgeable, and hey, they're your audience, they're the brand's audience. Why not start with us who are going to the show and doing this kind of business? So I think that really works. So what are some of the challenges that you're facing as you're going along building this show?
Um, I would say literally it all has to do with regulation. I think the quicker these markets could pop up, the sooner we could, move our shows around and get them into new places and serve larger populaces of areas with, lots of businesses.
Right. That I guess that'll just open it all up and then yeah,
Right.
then
It's fully about regulation and access. Yep.
is there anything you think I'm missing that you want to get across to people? Um, I feel like we've covered a lot of what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that, the Massachusetts event on June 5th and 6th is really going to be a special one. We're expecting over 150 brands to turn out, as well as representation from over 300 dispensaries. We have a brand new exhibit hall that's over 40,000 square feet and about a total of 65,000 square feet of exhibition space. Outdoor curated smoking lounge, food truck plaza with many more options this year. And obviously the consumption and sampling and an elevated ambiance to the space. I think it's really going to be a special one. And obviously check us out at theflowerexpo.com and join us on June 5th and 6th in Greenfield, Mass.
Cool, got it. That's good. Okay, that's a wrap.